Hello everyone, welcome to today's review session. Today I'll be reviewing games from the NAOL Season 17, Round 5. I got 3 games to go through, so without further ado, let's just jump right in. And today's game, we have tallpauleg as black and andyji as white, both 7Q. We get it actually pretty interesting opening where both sides get 2 Shamaris each, and we even get side extensions and then side extension. And so here white plays this move, which honestly I don't think is that bad of a move. It's a little unorthodox though, because if you think about standard opening theory, you want to start in the corners, which they did in 8 moves, which was perfect. Then you want to go to the sides, and then you want to go to the center. So here, the 2 moves that come out to me, one is H3. H3 is good because H3 not only extends from your large Shamari in the lower left, and you get some points here, but it's also preparing to come in potentially if black goes elsewhere. Another move that stands out to me is N17. This one, think of as preventing black from getting that extension that does the same thing that I was showing you. So for example, if black gets this extension, this creates ohiogoschool for black to be able to come in the upper left while also getting some points here. So these sort of side extensions, especially against a 4th line stone like a K4 or K16, are very good to get a 3rd line stone against because you're just undercutting it in one move if you get the chance. So the Tengen, not horrible though. It does limit black's potential while building white's potential on a very large scale. So black attaches. Yes, this is a common way to deal with a large knight Shamari. So this is good. And then here, yes, and then connect. Yeah, so this is reasonable. And then white extends back. So here, especially when you've played Tengen, you really want to think to expand on a large scale. And remember, when you have a Moyo, it kind of feels like backwards thinking, but you almost want your opponent to come in. Because if your opponent comes in, even if they end up living, you're going to attack them and you're going to be able to force them around the board. So here, this would be a spot where I would actually jump here. This is building the left side on a large scale, almost inviting black to come in. And if black doesn't, then white's left side is even bigger than white could have hoped for when just playing here. So yeah, I would play here, as well as when white goes here, you want to look for spaces on the board, especially when you have this Moyo game where if you draw a line down the board, white has the upper left area, black has the lower right. You want to look for areas where if I play there, it expands my area, but also reduces my opponent's. So black should play here because this builds the bottom while reducing white's left side. So this is almost like a key area on the board. Black goes here though. Yeah, this is okay. Play there. And white really needs to connect in the corner. You can't let black capture that stone because it makes black's life very easy in the upper left. So by blocking here, while this does emphasize the left side, if black simply just cuts, this is humongous. This is humongous. Because even if you Atari and black takes, there's still ohiogoschool for black to cut off some more stones. And since we're talking about corner territory, this is actually quite big. This is a big area where that black is erasing. Whereas by connecting, you keep the whole corner, black still doesn't have any eyes, and even if black were to push in this direction like this, black would be helping you solidify the left side. So by actually taking or keeping the corner, black doesn't have time to then play on the left side. So we can keep the left side by keeping black weak up top. Yeah, so jumping first is probably okay as well for black, and then white goes there. But yeah, black really instead of diving there, really needs to cut here. It's a big spot for both sides. So then white goes here. So this move, again, kind of like with Tengen, it's not the worst move, but there are better moves to play. The reason why it's not the worst move is whenever you invade, you need at least 2 directions you can go in. And to white's credit, white can either extend along the upper right or towards the lower right. So in that sense, it's an okay move. But the problem is I don't think you actually want second line territory, right? Nobody wants to take second line territory. So instead, if you wanted to play something along the right side, what I notice here is, okay, if we take this star point stone here at Q10, there is 4 spaces away from the cornerstone in the lower right. But the other way, there's 5 spaces. So we should play in the area that's wider. So if white just kind of throws a stone in like this, especially with all the center stones white has, white's going to be okay here. Even if black, let's say, kicks and jumps, you can see white even still has time to make an extension here. And if white just keeps running out, you can see white will be running towards white's stones in the center. Yeah, so, and if black tries to be aggressive to maybe kick and then take away the base, once again, because we have stones in the center, it's very easy for white to start to connect up. So, yeah, and if black plays from the top, again, we have space to make an extension, or even now we can play white's move white played in the game. So, yeah, you want to look for areas like when I was referring to this move here, and white has 2 ways to go, right? White can either go to the upper right or to the lower right. In this case, white can jump out into the center, white can extend to the upper right, or white can slide towards the lower right. So this move has 3 ways it can go in. And black can only block 1 per move. So even if black takes 1 away, we can still extend or jump out. So this stone is very flexible in that sense. So yeah, when you play this one, this allows black to choose which way you have to go. And as we were saying, which way is the wider direction? Black can force white to play in the area that's smaller if black were to play this diagonal. But yeah, so black plays here. It's a little soft to do this because white does get this move into the Hane, which was nice, and then white extended. So this was all good. And then black goes here. So this move, again, not a horrible move, but this is a case where we want to play from this direction. Reduce the left side while continuing to build our center. Because in this case, notice black starts to make points with their thickness. But you don't want to make points with your thickness. You want to invite your opponent to come in so that you can attack them. And speaking of inviting your opponent to come in, white comes in. So keeping that in mind, which way should we force white to go? Should we force white towards the lower left or the lower right? Well, since we have all those stones on the right side here, this is a perfect time to play from this direction. Force white, even if white makes this exchange here, force white to play where all of black's stones are in the center. And because black is so strong, again, you don't have to just cover like this, right? We're just making center points here. Instead, you can play from this direction, and this is going to force white into the center, where if you look, all of black stones, or a lot of black stones, are in the center. So this is how you properly use your moyos to attack. When black plays from this side, it's a case of you're making points with your territory, and not that this is a small area by any means. It just means now when white plays from this way, my 3 stones in the lower left are now weak. So white's actually would have been able to live in Sente. White scoops out all the points on the bottom side and can live in Sente. Like if white just pushes, this Atari is probably Sente, and then white plays something like this. White scoops out all the bottom territory, and now we have to ask ourselves, okay, we got some thickness here, but what is it facing? Well, just some white stones. There's nothing we can attack with it. So, yeah, this result could have been very good for white. White played here, which is not horrible, but in general, if you can make your base bigger, you should do that. So you should at least play here once because you're expanding your base. You're making potential or more potential eyes, and therefore you're also making some points and reducing black a little bit. So even if you think you have to play this, expand your base as big as possible. So I would try to do this, try to get this Atari. And again, I can still expand my base. Maybe I can play here. And you can see if black blocks, this is enough space for white to be okay here. So white wouldn't even need a move at h1. White plays h1. And then, black has Sente here and can play anywhere black wants. But black plays here. So again, not a small move in the endgame. But we're not in the endgame yet. So, big moves. Again, c8, c17 will always be big until it's resolved. But again, also coming into the left side here, especially once we have this wall here, is very big. Black goes there, so white extends, sure. And again, once you have, especially with this Atari here, this is enough space to make two eyes. If black ever plays L1, we can always play at K1, right? Because black can never connect here. So white is 100% alive here. So playing here is, again, very, very small. Black tries and then plays there. Yeah, so this is good, but white had the chance to, even here, to play in the left side somewhere. But got that, and then white goes there. Yep, and then black plays there. Yep, this is reasonable. You want a knight's move, but there is potential cuts here, whether they work now or in a little bit. So I like the diagonal. White covers, black pushes and cuts. This is correct as well. White pulls back, because this isolates the top side. Black plays there, which is again good because the right side is not fully alive. So always keep in mind, yes, white is threatening things in the lower right, but as long as you're playing things that are bigger than what your opponent's threatening, you can go elsewhere. So right here, I would instead go after the right side. Atari and play S13. Because again, white needs to live. It's not like, even if white plays here and we have to answer, it's not like white's going to play Q2 next, or at least I would hope not, because white is dying on the right side. So attacking is usually sente. So if while the iron is hot, you have to attack. When black goes here and white takes, white has time to play a move like this, which this is a very big move. It settles the right side, but also creates aji in the corner. So that's why it's important for black to get a move there first. But white goes here again. This is very big. Black jumps, yes. And then white comes here. Yeah, this is when things start to get a little crazy. Because white, as we were stating, white's not alive in the upper side. White's not alive on the right side. And now white has just made another potential weak group. So instead, again, white should try to simplify and help the groups they already have on the board. So playing this move, right? Solidify the right side. Or maybe playing a move to solidify the top. You don't want to make, one weak group is manageable, 2 is questionable, 3 is usually a death sentence. So yeah, black plays here, this is correct, white jumps. And black has the right idea here, although I wouldn't be this direct, because notice you have made white alive instantly. So I would still be a little softer and not touch the stones on the right side yet. So once again, even if white, because what happens is after this and white jumps, we play here. We could have done that exact same thing if something like this happened, right? But the difference is now we wouldn't still make these exchanges, right? Now we can Atari and again go after these right side stones. So yeah, right concept, like black is attacking correctly, just not in the most optimal way here. Black is leaning on stones to get thickness facing the other stones. Then play there. Yep, this is correct. Now white is getting surrounded up top. This is a perfect example of attacking from afar. Like black is not going directly after these stones in the center. Black's kind of backing off a little bit, and in doing so is able to attack the top and the center at the same time. So yeah, this is just like black's play here is just very, very good. I have no real problems with what black's doing, and to white's credit, after you've made this group here, white's probably doing the best white can do as well. So yeah, white's poking out weaknesses, black's fixing the weaknesses. It's just white played where all of black's thickness was. So yeah, white was able to, or black was able to surround. Black goes there, white even covered, peep. Yep, so that's, white has half an eye, white makes that an eye, and then black goes here. Yeah, so white just kind of got surrounded pretty quickly. Black even has time after this cut to go after the top side a little bit. So this, again, this is very good. This is very good. Black goes there, cut. But yeah, this is kind of just white struggling to live in a lot of areas, I guess, because white is not alive up top, as we were saying. Here, no reason not to just connect. Don't let white get that Atari later, but black goes there. Throw in. Hane. So now white can die up top. And actually, white is already dead. So white died in Gote. Hane. But at this point, white does need to make something happen after dying there. White goes here. This is not threatening anything. Black can simply just cut here. And that's going to be a dead shape. Now be careful. When white goes here, don't Atari because you'll have a ko. But you can simply play M19 directly. So you can see whatever white does, if white goes here, that's already dead. If white goes here, Hane. And it's dead shape. So yeah, but this is a little soft here to connect. And even if, let's say black thought there was a weakness there, it's better to play here because if white is dead in the center anyways, playing here actually got rid of a point. It looks like dame, but actually if white's dead, that's a point black could have had. But play there, so white could live, but at this point, black just has a big enough lead that it's probably okay. There's one more important, or I guess two more important things to mention here. So here. Is it bigger to capture the 3 stones or the 1 stone? That is the $1 million question. In this case, even though you might think, okay, well, 3 is bigger than 1, so 3 stones is bigger. In this case, it's actually not. Because in the game, black Ataris like this, or black covers like this, white Ataris, and then white was able to connect. The problem with this is black just gets 6 points, right? And so the question is, could we have gotten more than 6 points here? If we Atari like this, even if white can save, notice we have secured more than 6 points because in the game, you'll notice when we capture, not only does we've already reduced back down to this, but white gets to peep here and even capture some stones. So this is definitely more than a 6-point swing. Now, it is important to note that here, black can play this, although I guess this would be the same thing as well. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess you do got to pick one or the other, but yeah, it's bigger to just capture the one here. But black goes there, we get this. And the final thing here. So this move, because I remember, because I was a 7Q at one point as well. This move very rarely is the best move in endgame. And the reason is, it's better to just Hane. It has to do with Sente. Because after this, in the game, notice black got Gote. And in the endgame, having Sente versus Gote is a big deal. It is a very big deal. So instead, we can simply just play here, and we're going to get Sente. So for example, if white blocks, well, this wouldn't work, because we can just cut. So white has, let's say white plays here, well, then we can push. And even though white gets more points than if what happened in the game, like white's going to get more points than this, the fact that we keep Sente is more valuable than the couple points, or I guess it's literally 1 extra point white gets. So the best move is for white to go here, but this would mean we already have Sente. And we have not allowed white to get, like if we play something, we have not allowed white to get this Hane. So we have prevented white's endgame. So just by getting this one turn in Sente like this, means the best white can do is here, and we've reduced white down by 2 points. And we've saved 2 points. So just by getting that Hane, it's a 4-point move by itself. And we can still get better endgame if we play here. We can jump at B19 next. So 99 out of 100 times, the better move is simply to Hane at the head of 2 stones. But yeah, after that, there's some, like S19's not needed, but yeah, they just kind of play endgame, and should be a black win by, I forget the exact amount, but yeah, black's able to play a strong game, and let's see, show the result. Yeah, black by 40 points. So, and it all came down to white did not need to play or place that 1 stone in black's center when white had 2 weak groups. So yeah, group management is a very important concept in Go. So yeah, take care of your groups, white, and black, you did a good job on attacking. So yeah, that's game 1. Let us move to game 2. Okay, cool. Here we are with game 2. We have darthmallrat as black 10Q versus Sharkanimal white 9Q. And we get a pretty standard opening here. Yes. Black says, you get it, so I get it too. And so we get a very almost symmetrical position. besides the upper or the lower left and the upper right corners. But if we look at the josekis, white has played the high on the right side and black has played the low. So white goes here. So this is a case where in a lot of times, if you just play a corner move like this, it's very rarely bad. And again, this move is not bad, but there are slightly better moves. For example, getting this extension, kind of like I was explaining in the first game, if you can get the extension towards a side stone like this, you start to create a lot of aji on the other side. So again, if black goes elsewhere, we're able to play inside because we have a stone at c8. c8 is supporting our invasion on the left side here. Whether we do it this way, where we can Atari on top and then cover, c8's in the perfect spot to block black's extension, right? Even if black does this, we can double Hane because black's 3 stones are too weak. And it's again because we have the support stone at c8. Or if we want to play this way, we can connect either direction. Because even if black blocks this way, we can connect underneath, which again, c8 is supporting our attack on the left side. So that's why getting a move at c8 is very big. It's also why getting a move at r12 is very big. And again, like in the last game, if you can play a 3rd line stone extension towards a 4th line enemy stone, you start to create aji on the right side. So once again, if white goes elsewhere, we can simply just play here. And if white covers, we can play a move like s8, And notice this is threatening to connect either to the lower right or to our stone that we're supporting our attack with at r12, right? If white descends, we can cover here. And again, r12 is in the perfect spot. So that's why it's very important to get these side moves, which means it's very important to get rid of them. So white to extend here is a very nice move to get, because it's limiting the potential of the upper right, but also it's making an invasion or an attack on the right side a lot less viable for black. So white kicks, and if you're going to kick, you really do need to add an extra stone here, like this. Yeah, otherwise, again, you do keep Sente, but the thing with the kick you have to realize is when I kick, I'm making my opponent's liberties better than mine. Right? We force black to stand up, so now black has 5 liberties compared to our less than 5 liberties. So, and it creates a lot of bad aji at if you imagine shapes, at the tiger's mouth shape at r9. So, yeah, so white extends there. So whenever you get these lower right or upper left josekis, whatever side the 1 space jump is on, so like in the upper left d17 and f17, that's on the top side. That side becomes less valuable. So and the top side is less valuable because of that. So and if we look at the bottom side is less valuable. So for white to go here, white's playing on a side that is not that valuable. And the reason why it's not valuable is because black is so solid in the lower right that it's hard to make points here because you can't really threaten the lower side that well. And it meant like if white were to play here to try to get the entire bottom, it would be very easy for black to play moves to threaten to connect to the bottom right, because once again, the bottom right is so solid. So, and conversely for black, like let's say white went here and black extended here, because of the low position black has on the right side or the lower right, you can't build the bottom side either, right? Like if you do something like this, okay, I'll just peep and I'll just descend. Well, you have weaknesses here. I can still come in here. So if you somehow fix this weakness in Sente, I can then still threaten the bottom. So that's why whenever you have this joseki, the side that the 1 space jump is on becomes less valuable for both sides. So white goes there, black plays here. This is good. And white has a dilemma. All my stones are on the bottom. If we consider the lower left quadrant, all my stones are on the bottom. But if I block towards them, my stone at g3 gets very overconcentrated. So this is a case where I would still actually play here, even though I've invested these stones on the bottom, because at least it makes g3 make sense. Because even if black jumps here, I can actually leave this as white. And I can get a very nice move around c8. Once again, c8 creates the aji I was showing earlier. So I can get at least get an extension from this wall. But when I play here, every move I add here, right? G3 gets so much more, plays so much worse. Because, as you know, if you have 1 stone, you want to extend 2. Which is why here it's fine, right? We have 1 stone, we extended 2. But now we have 2 stones, so we would like to extend 3. But we've only extended 2. We have 3 stones, we'd like to extend more than 2. So maybe 3, maybe even 4. But we've only extended 2. So that's why it's the bottom side actually is getting smaller and smaller. And then white goes elsewhere. And black very smartly just answers. Yeah, white really needs to continue here. And it's not, it does have to do with building the bottom, although that's not the main thing. It has to do with liberties. As soon as black goes here, you have to think your 3 stones just got a lot weaker. Play there. And then white jumps. So immediately there's problems. Black pushes. If black simply hanes here, white has a lot of problems. Because you can't block, because I can cut and capture. And so if you fix, even playing moves like this is such a big move. Even though we're talking about second line territory, which you might think, oh, you know, that has to do with endgame, that should come later. We're actually talking about base here. We're talking about white's base here. So for example, like if white goes elsewhere again, white's very weak here on the bottom. Very, very weak. Or maybe we could even play inside because once again, we have an extra support stone at E2. So yeah, white is just, yeah, it's just very big. Whereas if white's able to, let's say, push and then get this move, look how much more solid the bottom becomes because of it and how much less points black has. So yeah. So, and also up here, while the star points are there and you might think they might be, you know, a guiding light, it's not necessarily always the best move to play. Because once again, if black plays here, which I think black does later, you have to spend a move up top to keep the points here. And so if you were to play, even if you kicked here, right, there's still a weakness at J17. So even if you play like this move or this move, right, to make sure you get that territory, well, if you started here and then black extended, would you play here? No, right? So instead, it'd be better for, so you don't want to just play on the side, on the start points like this. Instead, you either want to go all the way to really try to make sure, okay, black, you really don't want me to get the top, then make sure I don't. Or we can play, again, because the upper side, once we get the 1 space jump, is not that valuable, instead we could play maybe shoulder hits like this. And shoulder hitting a Shamari here is hardly ever a bad move. It's generally a very good exchange to get. Because every move that gets added, black's barely gaining anything more, whereas white stones here are much more efficient, no matter what happens to them. Black's last 3 moves gained black a handful of points, whereas white stones here are expanding along the whole board, or has influence around the whole board. So yeah, so look for the shoulder hit towards Shamaris. But yeah, and then here you gotta just extend. You can't leave this cutting points. But yeah, black just goes elsewhere, which is okay, but your exchange would then become a bad exchange if white had then fixed here. So if you're gonna push, you should activate it immediately, whether you just hane or you can play this way too, cut this way and then extend. You lose the end game on the bottom, but you isolate the 2 stones in the center. So it depends what you want to do. So white kicks and then jumps here. Yeah. And so kind of like the last game, we're going to see white get very busy in this game because white has weaknesses here. White has a weakness here at J17. White has weaknesses on the right side. And now white has created another weakness, another weak group. So play there, yes. White extends. And then here, this is very important. The main question here is, are these stones separated? Are these 2 sets of stones? Yes. So were there other stones that they could connect to? Well, the right side. So here, black should jump here to separate those top stones that white just played at M14 and the right side. Because when black pushes here, the problem with pushing here is this is not Sente. White could just ignore and maybe jump here or maybe knight's move or even just jump like this. Because the best you can do is hane and white covers. And you can see there's nothing else you can get there. So yeah, white answered, but white did not need to answer. And again, in a fight, 1 move differences can make the difference between literal life and death. So yeah, I would lean here. And the key is if white pushes from this direction, your white will be forcing you to play the move you wanted to play. So it's a thank you move. Thank you, white, for playing letting me get the move I wanted. And if white pushed from this way, then obviously that would be hurting the other side. So yeah, no need to push there. And once again, better direction to go from this way because you want to separate these two groups. So jump there, yes. Once again, kind of similar to here as black. If you're going to make the cut there, you should really use it. So black should just cut. Black should just cut now. Otherwise, if obviously the move black played was sente, right? It's not like white's going to ignore this. But when you get gote, now white's going to be able to fix the shape in the center like this. Whereas otherwise, if you didn't want to answer, you could just play now. And white's shape is not going to be as good. So if you're going to push and make weaknesses, you really need to get them ASAP. But white goes there, yep. So white's paying for the weaknesses white left. And then white comes in even deeper. Which, yeah, this is very nice by black. Black, for 10Q, black plays very, very solidly. And black's playing a lot of things I would not expect a 10Q to play or know, I guess. But yeah, like this sequence here. I actually just showed the sequence in the upper side with the Shamari, but it works here too. White covers, because white does need to help this right side, but black just keeps jumping in. Yep, and black knows, oh, even if you push, I have good shape. So then white goes here, and then pulls back, and just gives black good shape. So even here, it's okay to cut. Even though black just captures, it's going to force black to capture, and we're going to be able to solidify the bottom. Whereas just pulling back like this, yeah, now we've given black good shape, and now the floodgates are open. Now how are we going to keep the points here in the bottom side? So for example, it would have just been better for white if white wanted to play from the center direction, just to like jump here. Because now we haven't given black good shape. There's still Aji there. So for example, if black plays like here, it means move like this or sente because we can play L7 in a turn. Because we haven't used up the Aji by doing this immediately. So yeah. So now white's trying to play from both sides. Cut, Atari, and connect, yeah. And then white covers, plays there, yep. And so again, like black's just playing very smartly here. And here, yeah, as black here, this should be just, maybe it's not the biggest deal because white can't fix it in sente, but I'm very tempted to block here because I see a lot of cuts on white's other side. So even if we do this, white's very weak, very, very weak on the left side here. And so I don't want to let white connect. Even if I do something else and white can connect here, now there's less chance for attacking because white is connected to in a live shape. So black Hanes, this is good. This is good. This is the move I was showing earlier. And then black goes there. There, yep. And then black just goes elsewhere, yeah. Because, yeah, white had potential for a lot of points on the bottom. But in exchange, got these two stones here, which aren't really doing much for white. Yeah, black even expands the right side or left side, descends. This is smart too. Yes, play there, cut, yes. And then Hane. Here we get a kind of funny exchange where black plays here, but then white can cut. So if this cut is going to be sente, it would be better to simply just go here. Because if white cuts now, how would you fix your shape here? Let's say you're worried about a connection here as black. How would you fix your connection? You could play a move like this. You could play a move like this. You could play a move like this. Even works, right? Connect like this. I don't think you would fix like this, right? We can see that this move is not a very good move. So I always say, assume sente moves are always sente. And so if we're going to treat this as sente, we should just connect instead. Because otherwise, as we see, and white does a very nice job here of poking here. And yeah, black shape is not so great, right? Whereas again, black could have went here, and even if white cuts, we could play where white played, and if white answers, we actually have sente. So, yeah, play there. White goes there. White descends. The thing with descending, And black does answer, and I think answering is okay, but white does not have 2 eyes with this whole group. So if I just poke at this group, this is Sente, and then like poke at the shape here, right? There's a potential weakness here, or even we don't need to go that far, just go here. We're okay here as black. And because what's kind of cool is maybe black was worried about some sort of life and death here, right? And like wanted to secure this area because they wanted to make sure they have 2 eyes. But there's actually a really cool way for black to connect this group to another group. And you might be looking, what group could you connect to? Or, well, if this move is Sente, which it is, we have to ask ourselves, can we connect to the lower left? And we can. And this is where knowing your tessugis are good is you can monkey jump to connect like this. So yeah, black would be connected like this. So black's group here is 100% okay. So instead of blocking here, which just has to do with endgame, I would continue trying to attack white first. Because again, it's not like white has time to play endgame because moves like this doesn't give white 2 eyes. Or it doesn't give white any eyes. So if black just blocks, and white comes in deeper, yes, black Atari's in place here. Yeah, and so after this, white actually has another chance here. And this is where we need to know our shapes. So everyone knows about knight's moves, right? And how, or you should know, that to cut a knight's move, you want to jump across. I'm trying to just see if there's a knight's move. Yeah. So like, for example, if we look at the center here, if I was black, I would look to cut the knight's move like this. You want to jump across the knight's move, especially when you have, if you imagined white has a dog face and you have one of the eyes of the dog as your color, you really want to look to jump here. So if you notice in this position in the upper right, though, black has 2 of that, right? This is a dog face, right? Where we have one of the eyes as our color. But so is this one. So this, whenever you see this shape, that should be, you should start smelling blood in the water. And so if you jump across here as white, something's going to work here. Something's going to work here. And white does need something to happen in this game because black's left side is very big. And like white doesn't have a territory to compete with that, especially if black keeps the entire upper right as well. So white needs to do something here. So if black covers, white can jump across like this. If black covers, then we can capture. And this is the whole idea with, or this is what we're threatening. And if we play here, the key is order of moves. If we immediately jump up, black can just cover and we can't cut because we get captured. But we can cut first because cutting is immediately Sente because of this cut here at S10. And then when we cover, black is unable to capture because we can just ladder these stones. So there's a problem on that side. So if black stands up though, or goes here, white's able to connect. And so look how much white's able to reduce the corner, but also the right side needs to live now. So simply by knowing this Aji exists, I'm able to, because what you want to do, what you want to get to in your Go career is you want to be able to identify shapes and know the weaknesses kind of immediately. As they say, instincts, right? Your instincts. So as soon as I saw this shape, even here, and when black goes, like black should cover here to avoid those weaknesses. But since black went here, I immediately as white go, okay, there's potential there. So white going here is a very good move. Very, very good move. There's not a good way for black to prevent white from getting something. Even if we go here, white can descend. And if we try to push through, white's going to be able to connect or capture the stone up top. So yeah, this move's very good for white, but white ends up just making the tiger's mouth. So black's okay. But yeah, there's real potential here. There's real potential here for bad news for black. So white had the right idea, just the wrong execution. But yeah, after this, so here's another important point, and it came up in the other game where if we're in endgame, Sente's more valuable than a couple extra points. It's better to simply descend. Because when we Hane and connect, Gote, right? So okay, maybe M18 is Gote as well. Maybe white can go elsewhere. But if white goes elsewhere, instead of just playing here, which would be what happened in the game, we could instead maybe jump. Maybe we can monkey jump, right? There's other moves we can play because we have just descended. But if white prevents that, then we actually get Sente, like so. So it's actually better here to simply just descend, because if this is going to be gote anyways, which it is, let me just descend so that even if white treats it as gote, I get a better endgame. Or if white treats it as sente, then I get to keep sente. But yeah. Yeah, black made a mistake here, letting white capture here. It's better to just take, actually, because even if white covers here, we have now not let T10 get captured immediately. We still have time to save it, whereas when this happens, yeah, when white takes, now, yeah, we can never save it. Then we get monkey jump. And here's an important thing about monkey jump. This is correct, but you can cover here. And a lot of players might be scared of this, but keep in mind, has to do with what we just talked about. Even though black can cut here, look at the shape we have here, right? We have a dog face where white is one of the eyes. So where can we play? We can separate here. Black has to take Atari. White's going to be able to capture here. So black has to pull back, and then we can save there. So this is the correct first move. But yeah, just going here, you can see really hurts white up top. But yeah, those are the major points of this game. I would say the one thing for black, like from this point forward, is black really should get this move. This really hurts the shape here. Even if white plays the bamboo, there's still issues here for white. I don't think black ever ends up getting that. Yeah, here you can see white was able to fix it, but black did get something at least. The 2 stones there. But yeah, after that, they just kind of play some endgame, and I think kind of similar to the last game, although white didn't die anywhere on a large scale, white had to play a lot of defensive moves, and so you can see white's top side didn't make a lot of points, white's bottom, and the right side just weren't worth that much. And so it was, yeah, black by 35 in this game. But black played very strong 10Q. I'm very impressed with black's play here. And for white, yeah, try not to, one in the opening, play in the largest areas, and don't leave so many weaknesses. You had to pay for them later down the line. Like when you kicked up top and when black stood up, you capped that. You had weaknesses on the right, you had weaknesses up top, you made another weak group, you have a weakness in the left side, lower left. And yeah, black was just able to kind of abuse that throughout the game, and you had to pay later down the line. So, but yeah, that was game 2. Let's move on to game 3. Okay, here we are with game 3. We have James paying as black, and we have Samuel07 as white. And you're welcome, Shark. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Hopefully you got something from that. You were white in the last game, I think, right? I think so. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yep. No problem. Thanks for hanging out, actually. I appreciate that. But yeah, so let's look at this game. Now, this game has something interesting early on, and I'm going to treat it as not a misclick, but it could very well be a misclick because white plays here on the second move. Now, again, I don't know. Again, in the DDK world, I don't know what's going on there all the time, but I'm going to treat this as not a misclick. Although it kind of feels like a misclick because white just kind of forgets about it, which is what you want to do actually when you misclick. But assuming it's not a misclick, here you really need as black to take away the base. Especially early on, they tell you try to stick to the 3rd and 4th line. Here, white just has a stone floating on the 5th line. And so it's going to be hard for this stone here to make a base. And black would just be securing 3rd line territory. So, as you might imagine, white getting here is actually very nice because it settles white towards the side of the board while also threatening to surround the corner. So black doesn't have time to go elsewhere when the entire corner could get surrounded. So white, if you want to play this, just be cautious about this when they take away your base, and if they don't take away your base, make sure to take it. But since you didn't play this, I'm actually going to assume it's a misclick, but I can't assume that, I guess. So it's a moral dilemma, but okay. So we get this Joseki, and this is good. This is good. I would never say a DDK should not play this, even though AIs might say it's a mistake. As you get stronger, I would start to caution players on playing this, as black, I mean. But for DDK, this is totally fine. you do need to know the consequences of why it's not so good as black, which we'll get to in a second. So we do the same thing here. Yes. And then white splits. So when you split here actually as white, you want to play on the fourth line. The reason why you want to play on the fourth line is because we're looking to activate the peeping oji at, in this case, E5 and E15, which are on the fifth line if you look at it from the left side. And so when black pincers and we extend, we're almost immediately looking at this weakness at E15, where if black does something else, we can poke there. And what's nice about this peep is that we are peeping with a connection, right? There's a shape connection here. We're peeping with the knight's move. Whereas when we play low like this and we get this exchange, let's say black continues here. Now, if we try to peep, black can counterattack. Black can take our elephant eye. And so even if we can go here once, you can see we've now lost tempo. We now have spent 2 moves to peep, as opposed to if we were on the fourth line, we would just need 1 move like this. So if you're going to play this way, and it seems like white knows, at least knows of the concept of what they're doing, you want to play on the fourth line in this scenario. So black goes there. So kind of similar to, as we were looking at in the other game, this variation, right? Whenever you get this variation, that side, in this case the bottom, becomes not so valuable. Similarly, as we get in this game, this side on the bottom becomes not that valuable. Because, one, black stones are facing the left side. So it's not like black moyo is facing the bottom. But conversely, black stone at h3 means white can never really make a lot of points there. So this is a weird case. If we disregard the rest of the board, where, of course, r14 is probably the best move, even playing this move, because this is at least is building our left side, which is where our wall in the lower right is facing. When we play here, this is bad direction. Because with that open skirt at h2, the bottom side's not worth that much. So this is actually a rare case where actually playing from this direction would be better. Because we're kind of isolating white to not be able to retreat to the right side now. And it's not like white wants to play here, because once again, the bottom side's not that valuable. White can't really get that many points there. Like white can never expand on the fourth line when the stone here at h3. You can just dive under. Now or later. Like covering here means L2 is a problem. If we just play here, it's just not that interesting. So this is a time where even though we have stones in the lower left as black, we actually still want to play from the right side because those stones on the bottom are not worth that much. So white goes here, black covers, and then extends. Yeah, you can see just this bottom side is just not worth that much. If we play just some very basic moves, like white plays here, black will probably cover, shoulder hit, cover, and connect here. Look how many points black's making there, right? Black's making maybe 10 to 12 points there. It's not that much. It's not that much. Black can make that many points and more by simply just doing this. Black has more potential on the right side than just the 10 points there. So, yeah. So instead, white goes here, which is, again, this is nice because they are trying to help that white stone there. But I think you can just play here. Black will have to answer, and then we can then play the star points. Play there. Because once again, it's actually almost a theme in these games, is if you could play a move, if you can play a third line move against a fourth line move like this, it's very good. Because once you get R14, it means if white goes elsewhere, we can then follow up underneath the fourth line stone. And so now it's hard for white to make points on the right side all of a sudden. So yeah, and it's tricky. How do you prevent that? If you play here, it leaves a weakness here at the elephant eye. You don't necessarily want to touch the stone because it solidifies the corner. So it leaves a bad taste in white's mouth. So black goes here. This is correct direction, and white actually just goes elsewhere. Black goes here. Yes. Black does double hane. I agree with this. The outside's not very valuable, especially when white has stones here. So I agree with this. And then white plays here and then solves the issue. So this is good. I would actually not make this exchange, so I would just do this. You want to keep the liberty alive here because it means if we ever like block like this and cover or cut, I mean, we can actually play S16 on the next turn. So, like if black tries to fight, we can turn here. But as soon as we get rid of that liberty, black does not have any liberty problems, or not that many. But then black goes here. So this is black's maybe biggest mistake on the game, and it's because this is the wrong thinking. To me, this looks like black's trying to make center territory, but always remember, when you have center thickness, or you have thickness in general, you don't want to make points in that area, you want to attack. So keep in mind, white ignored this knight's move here, which is good direction. White ignored this knight's move. And you have Sente here now. So since white ignored, you want to play a move like this. You want to push white down on the side there. Because when you just played this, again, and white just maybe jumps up like this, the area here is actually not that big. It's actually not that big. Imagine we have a 6 stone wall here, and we've only extended 5. That's actually pretty over-concentrated when you really think about it. Instead, if we can play moves, this shoulder hit here, white answers, and we cover, right? We are actually expanding all the way into the center. Not saying all of these moves are good, but just for example's sake, let's say white can connect, and we play a move out something like this. Notice how now we're expanding on a large scale. When you're playing Moyo and you have thickness, you really need to dream big. You need to dream big. So just being okay with this little area here is actually, it's almost not greedy enough, if that makes sense. When you have thickness, you want your opponent to feel the need to come in. Like let's say white can live somehow, right? Something like this, and white's alive. Just assume that. And white's like, oh, I got to do something about the center, so let me, I don't know, place a stone there. This is actually what you want. Notice how white is just isolated in the center of the board, and now we have to ask ourselves, okay, how can white make points with this stone? Because white's just in the center of the board. And if white just added a stone in the center, how can white keep the points on the right side now if we shoulder hits? Again, shoulder hitting a third line stone in a Shamari is always good. Because if white ever tries to fight, notice we're indirectly attacking this white stone here. But if white ever is like, oh, I got to help my center stone, well, since white is taking away center territory and we're taking away side territory, we're accomplishing more. We're more efficient because it's easier to make points on the side than it is in the center. So when you have thickness, you want your opponent to come in. That's the whole idea. So you don't want to make points like this or like this. And also the one drawback of this new AI, I say new, but really it's been for like 6 years now, but the AI, the early 3/3 invasion, is you leave Aji of being able to make this exchange. And notice when black makes this exchange, this stone at B15 really hurts the left side. Even if white gets this Atari, we can just lean like this. And notice how white is very weak here. Very, very weak. And since we're attacking, white doesn't have time to play something in the center. So, yeah, and if white helps the center like this, well, A18 is huge for points and threatens to kill the corner now. So white's already paying for ignoring your stone at E9, which is why when black had gone there, I would actually just answer by going here. When you have an isolated group like this, you have to help it, especially when it's sandwiched between two walls like that. Or even here, you could do it as white. But so white goes there and helps, yes. And here, black made a mistake here. This is the right idea for white. White had a nice plan here, but if black had gone here, black keeps the stones alive in the lower right. So white's not accomplishing as much as white may have thought. So instead, white should start here, I think. Yeah, because if black covers, now when black Hanes, we can Atari first and then break through like this. If black stands up, this is actually considered a pretty big gain for the corner. Even if we leave it now, we've created Aji of being able to cut that stone at Q2. So, yeah. Again, though, here, notice how the upper left's starting to get isolated. I would look to peep here. Because now we have a support stone. So now it's a lot harder for black to split us. When white goes here, black Atari'd it, but white was able to capture. Black Atari'd, and then black goes there, yes. So black did need some sort of stones to help the upper left, but playing in this way again, it doesn't feel that good because, again, just efficiency-wise, we have a lot of stones not really doing that much. But you do need to help it eventually, so it's okay. And then, yep, slide there, yes. And then cover there. Now here, put yourself in white's shoes. All I'm going to say is I don't want black to cover, right? That's very clear because I want to keep out in the center. But play a move that helps my liberties. As soon as I say that, the move that white should play should come in an instant. White should play here. This is going to keep white's shape good and keep black's liberties bad. So if black covers, we can just Hane. And black's shape just starts to fall apart. There's just nothing black can do. If black cuts, even we can capture the other way, like this. Or we can even play moves here, which threaten to capture this way. And why are we able to do this? Because we have liberties. Liberties is everything in Go. So when we play here, and now black's the one with better liberties. All of a sudden, black's the one with better liberties. So yeah, white actually helps black's liberties and doesn't help their own because they played the diagonal. So if you just stand up like this, even if black extends, we extend. Look how good our liberties are because we can make a bamboo joint next, and black has a lot of weaknesses and we have none. So you just start cutting and see what happens as whites. But yeah, think about liberties here. Liberties is very important. Play there, yes, and black goes there. Okay, finishes off the bottom. That's nice. White jumps in. That's good. Good shape point for black. And then white surrounds there. So at this stage, it kind of the players quickly progress into endgame, which that sometimes happens. This is also good order of moves, I must say. Pushing here now, because if you Atari first and then push, white can just block. But by pushing first, it forces white. White can't block because instead of cutting here, you can double Atari now. So white has to push back, and now we get this Atari anyway. So this is actually very good order of moves by black. It's very subtle, but these subtleties, this minutia is very important to get better at Go. So yeah, black never uses that cut, but black could have. Black went there, yep. So here we get a very funny position here. So white goes here, which by itself is Gote, right? Black, it's not like black can connect anyways, and so black can just go elsewhere. Black has two liberties, black's still okay, but black takes. So now we have to ask ourselves, okay, when I take as white, I'm getting just 2 points. That's it. Just 2 points. And if I'm getting 2 points, I'm saying there are no other spots on this board worth 2 points, right? So as white here, is there a move bigger than 2 points? Of course, right? Something like B4 is more than 2 points. H2 is more than 2 points. H18 is more than 2 points. Ataring in the center is more than 2 points. Just turning here is more than 2 points. Because the idea is if black takes, well, black didn't surround any territory. There are cuts there, to be fair, and maybe there is danger in those cuts, but realistically, there's not really any danger when black gets that move. But so one, black could have just went elsewhere right now, but when black took, white definitely needed to go elsewhere. It's just too small. Play there, Atari, yes. Yep. And then there's a very cool Tetsuji up top that black needs to play. Atari, when white connects, what is the one move up top, if we're looking at those two stones, that limits the liberties of those two stones? There's only one move that does it. And if you don't know of this Tetsuji, it's called the Goblin's Nose. I believe it's called that because the Goblin's Nose has warts on the end of it. So if you think of the warts on the end, black should go here. This is the only move that limits white's liberties. Because notice white can't separate you because white only has one liberty now. And if white even goes here, we can continue pushing because white still can't cut me. And so if white has to do this, you can see this is pretty big up top, especially if white's able to, when black goes here, connect. This is a big, big difference, isn't it? I guess white would not cut there, or white would do this one, yeah. Big, big, big difference. Big difference. So yeah, black had opportunity to get that. And black gets something similar actually, but could have been better. Yeah, black just goes here, which is not bad, but there was better. Yeah, so here, this move, notice how this move just takes away a liberty from these stones and didn't really get white much. So this move's not so good, but yeah, so black turns. It's actually better for black to cut and then play the belly of the 2 stones here, because white has to capture and then get the Satari and then connect. Look how much better of a reduction that is. Yeah, just covering here is not super great. But yeah. And then just endgame. Just endgame. There's some subtleties that both sides were missing, but not too bad. And then yeah, after that, it ended up, it's a pretty close game. Yeah, white by 18, so pretty evenly matched. And so black, if you're going to play the kind of Moyo style, really try to build on a large scale and try to invite your opponents in. And for white, again, I don't know if your first move was a misclick or not. I'm going to assume it is, but during a review, I can't assume that. But when you give your opponent, because you play double 3/3, when you give your opponent massive thickness, make sure you take care of your stones, because black could have attacked you severely on the left side and didn't end up being able to. But yeah, that's my review session for round 5 of season 17, and I believe the sessions are 5 games each. So this is the end of season 17. So thank you for joining me for, I guess I did 4 rounds. Now that I'm a hopefully permanent, fingers crossed, permanent reviewer, I will be in the future doing all the rounds. And it's a very fun experience for me, and I appreciate the opportunity to be able to do this. But yeah, if you have any questions for me about the reviews or anything, just let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you all in the next video.